So it's 7:36. I'm going to start. I'm sharing my screen, and today is Thursday, September 9th, 2021, and this is a webinar about Cardano staking and delegation and using Cardano ADA for passive income and saving for retirement. So my name is Valentin Komarovsky. I go by Val. I've been holding these calls every 2 weeks for the past maybe 7 months. And I focus on various subjects. Every month we have a call on Cardano ADA, staking and delegation, and then there's a call in between where we have a trivia game. So if you haven't been to one, you can look forward to that. Also, in these meetings, I cover specific topics. So today's topics and questions will be what is Cardano and how it's different from the blockchains that you may know, such as Bitcoin. What is ADA and what are its monetary properties? The economic drivers behind the value of ADA and its future prospects. How to build passive income and long-term wealth, compounding your ADA staking and rewards. How and where to buy, how to set up a staking wallet, and how to keep it secure. There are some upcoming changes in Cardano. Cardano is a smart contracts platform without smart contracts, or hasn't had smart contracts up to now. But with the newest update, 1.29 of the blockchain, smart contracts will be available. So we'll touch on that, and we'll talk about where staking rewards come from and what you can expect to earn. So this meeting is held on Teams and it's live. And if you wish to ask a question, you can either put it in a chat. There's a chat button on top, or you can raise your hand and I'll call on your name. So please feel free to interrupt at any time and ask questions. Those are very welcome, because I do have a small Q&A at the end, but you may be asking questions that have not been asked or I have not thought of. And I welcome you to ask those. Time-wise, I'm planning for about 90 minutes, so I'm going to try to end this before 9 o'clock. So without further ado, we'll start. Cardano is an open platform that seeks to provide economic identity to the billions who lack it by providing decentralized application to manage identity, value, and governance. So Cardano is a blockchain. It's a third generation blockchain, and it is a delegated proof of stake blockchain. So the consensus mechanism and the protocol behind it is slightly different from other blockchains, and we'll cover that as well. So mostly you may have heard about Bitcoin, which has been around for 12 years, and to some Cardano may be new, or you may have heard about it. Certainly most have heard about it recently as it made its way into the top 3. So what are the differences? Cardano is a proof of stake. It's a delegated proof of stake blockchain. Bitcoin is a proof of work. Maximum supply for Cardano is 45 billion, for Bitcoin is 21 million. So there is a hard cap for each currency, and that's different from the fiat currency or the central bank currency like the US dollar or the euro that you may be used to. The supply is inflationary up to a certain point. So the last Bitcoin will be minted in 2040. And last Cardano ADA, ADA is the native currency of the Cardano blockchain, will be minted depending on the number of transactions, but I have some specs for you for the exact time and date. The fees on Cardano are a lot lower than on Bitcoin, and the transaction speeds are faster, but the biggest difference is the energy consumption. Bitcoin, that you may know, runs on ASIC miners that guess puzzles and produce blocks, but they consume enormous amount of electricity that's comparable to some of the smaller countries' electricity consumption. Cardano has a governance component to it, which Bitcoin does not. And the usage for Cardano is it's a smart contracts platform. It's also a platform coin for other assets. So there are layer 2, layer 3 solutions that run on Cardano, and other assets that run on Cardano. Um, Cryptocurrencies that are created by third parties that me and you can create. Bitcoin is mostly it's a mean of exchange, but it's also a store of value, since it's been around the longest as the longest living successful cryptocurrency. There's also a difference in NFT support and transaction count, so the use is a bit different. So what makes Cardano US dollar or Bitcoin a currency, and how does Cardano stack up against some of the fiat currencies and in Bitcoin? Scarcity. In the old days, for the US dollar before 1930s, the US dollar was backed by gold. After 1930s, it is not. So it's easily printable. There's no hard cap for any fiat currency that we know of. The hard cap for Bitcoin is 21 million, and for Cardano, it's 45 billion. So no more than that number can be produced at any point in the future. And that limitation is built into the software. Divisibility. Satoshi is 100 millionth of a BTC, and Lovelace is 1 millionth of ADA. Utility. So there are new utilities coming out for Cardano every day. It seems so. Smart contracts are starting on Cardano on September 12th. There is also capability for distributed applications, NFTs, tokenization, so creating tokens on Cardano blockchain for different solutions. And there's also a recently there has been talk about building stable coins on Cardano. So there are many uses. Transportability. You can send Cardano or Bitcoin around the world in minutes, and nobody in customs will ask you how many Bitcoin or Cardano you have on you. They do ask that about US dollars, so you have to declare if you have more than 10,000 on you. So the transportability is a lot friendlier, and it takes a lot less space. Durability. As long as you keep your private keys in your wallet safe, Cardano is durable, and Bitcoin and Cardano have never been compromised or counterfeited. So counterfeit ability is one of those attributes. So if we look at American finances, and I live in the United States, we can see that in the recent years, the mentality has changed. I remember the 2008, 2009 crisis, and the government was afraid to print money and get into more debt. And it seems like in the recent years, after the financial crisis, of which Bitcoin is a child, we have grown accustomed to government adopting the new monetary policy, the modern monetary policy, where you print as much money as you want and there's no limit to it. So this is what our deficit, revenue, and debt look like. The United States debt is approaching 30 trillion. Our revenue is shrinking, and our trade deficit is rising. And because the politicians don't see any retribution for the ongoing monetary supply expansion, they're not afraid to print more fiat currency, and a lot of people are catching on and saying, "Hey, we need something that has some scarcity and that has a hard cap." So that's why, or why I think gold um, does not have that property, and Bitcoin is being adopted as a store of value. For gold, nobody knows how much of it is out there and how much is being produced, but for Bitcoin and Cardano and some other cryptocurrencies that have a hard cap, we know exactly how many are being produced and how many will be available in the future. And as far as the monetary expansion, this is the United States dollar circulating supply. So this is the M1, what's in the checking accounts and savings accounts and in cash. So we've gone from less or around 1 trillion in 2010. We've more than doubled this supply to over $2 trillion. So as fiat printing continues, more and more people are looking for something that has a limit supply, and Cardano is one of those cryptocurrencies that has a limited supply. The maximum supply for ADA is 45 billion. The current circulating supply is 32 billion, and we have 12.8 billion in reserves as of 2 weeks ago. 23 billion is staked, and the rewards that are being paid out at every epoch or every 5 days, they come from these reserves. So we'll cover that briefly. So in order to understand some of the concepts that I'll be explaining, I wanted to introduce some of the delegated proof of stake terms to you. So once again, Cardano is a proof of stake cryptocurrency, and it's a delegated proof of stake. So the way that it works is every 5 days there's a new epoch, and those delegators or owners of ADA that are staking it receive rewards if blocks are minted by stake pool that they are delegating to. And those rewards come from transaction fees, and they come from reserves. So what are the terms that you need to know? ADA staking rewards. Those are newly minted ADA that come out of the circulating supply transaction rewards. So when transaction happens, there are transaction fees, and the pools get rewards, and they also get a subsidy from the reserves. ADA reserves are the coins that have not yet been minted and have not yet entered circulation, but there is some of them that enter circulation every 5 days. Delegator could be one of you. Delegator is someone who is an owner and stakeholder in ADA cryptocurrency who delegates their stake to a stake pool operator. A stake pool is a transaction validator and a block producer. So every time a transaction happens on the blockchain, it's recorded by a stake pool, and the stake pool operator runs those computers that record and validate those transactions. The stake pool operator makes new blocks and records them on the blockchain securely. Epoch is a computing period that equals 5 days. So on the Cardano blockchain, epoch turnovers every 5 days, there's a new epoch. Every 5 days, there's a new series of transactions that are being processed and rewards that are paid out. So how are those rewards paid out? And how do we determine which stake pool creates the blocks? There's a process called the slottery. It's a random assignment of slots to slot leaders to be completed by stake pools. So as stake pools process transactions, they can be elected as a leader for a slot. So if they complete that slot, then they mint a block which has some transaction in them, and then they receive the block reward. So the block is like a records page on the blockchain which contains a batch of transactions. So again, the stake pool operator runs the servers process transactions. If they're selected a slot leader, then they complete the block in that slot. And if they do, then the delegators that delegate their ADA to that stake pool receive rewards for that block. So these are the main terms that you should know. If the stake pool doesn't win this lottery, they don't get any rewards. So let me pull this up real quick. So this is adapools.org. If you go on the site and in the search field, for those that haven't been here before, if you type in the name of the stake pool, so I can search for Lega, and you have the performance dashboard, and these are different epochs down here. So if you click on blocks, it will give you a list of epoch where the blocks were minted and what was the slot that they were in, the time when it was minted. If you click on rewards, then here it will show you. So currently we're in 289. That's the current epoch, and then we don't know how many blocks we're going to mint, but right now we're at 3. Okay. The previous one, 5 days. In the previous 5 days, we made 3 blocks, and this will show you. It doesn't show you the number because it's estimating it. But the one before that, 287, you can see 5 blocks, and it will give you an amount. So what the pool made and what the delegators made. So the pool is what the pool gets from the pledge, and what the pool gets from delegators, and what the delegators get. So in the pool, that's the pledge reward, because the pledge gets its own reward, and the fixed fee, because there's a fixed fee that the pool makes if they made blocks. And then 3,150 is what the delegators made, and that gets distributed among the delegators based on their stake, how much ADA they have staked. But if you scroll down, and these are all the epochs and how many blocks we've made. And if you find one, there should be some here that have 0. So if you find the ones with 0, like we hit a really bad streak here where there was a low level of transactions and we made 0 for like 4 or 5 epochs, then nobody made any money. And there are no blocks and there are no rewards. But then the next one we hit was 2. And then there's 7. So that had a higher return, and you can see that there's 4.7 thousand, which is higher. So the more blocks, the more rewards. But if you get to a place like there is 1 block here, then we made very little. The pool made only 347, and the delegators made 375. It looks at this number, 4.2 million active. So that's what we're currently minting on. And it's saying based on this amount of ADA that you have staked, your estimated blocks in the epoch should be 3.9. But that's like an average, and we've made some 1, 2, 0, and then some 5, 6, 7. So this is an average that it's expecting. So right now in the current epoch we have 3, but the epoch isn't over. We have a couple more days until the epoch runs out. So there are 0 blocks, then nobody makes any money. These are delegators. So we have approximately 800,000 wallets delegating, but the wallets with rewards are about 700,000, and there are 70,000 that don't have rewards. And these are stake pools. So no blocks and no stake. 163 stake pools. And then down here with stake but no blocks. So they have ADA stakes in them, but they haven't made any blocks. It's 1741, and the epoch before that 1726, and then down here with blocks, and obviously they have, if they have blocks, then they have rewards 1110. But these not are all the same stake pools, because every 5 days this changes. So it's a random process, but in every epoch there will be a stake pool that has a 0 blocks, and then but the more ADA you have staked, there's a higher chance that you will get rewards. So does that? So in order for you to keep making ADA and keep making returns with rewards, you have to consistently keep processing transactions every epoch and just keep staking and keep your pool running. And if you get into a couple of epochs or a few epochs where you have 1 or 0 blocks, as long as you keep running, you have a chance to participate in the staking and rewards process down the road. So you have a chance to make up that those rewards later on. So it's a numbers game. It's a consistency game. So lately there's been a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt pointed towards Bitcoin because of its energy consumption and Elon Musk saying that it's bad for the environment, and this is the reason why he doesn't accept, or Tesla doesn't accept, Bitcoin as payment for Tesla anymore. So what's the difference between proof of stake such as Cardano and proof of work mining such as Bitcoin? So in proof of stake, profitability of mining goes up with the quantity of asset that you have staked. So the more ADA that's staked, the higher probability that you'll be selected as a slot leader and that you'll be able to mint a block and get a reward. With proof of work, like Bitcoin and Ethereum is still proof of work currently, the profitability of mining goes up as more electricity is used to mine more coins with more machines. The probability of minting increases with the amount of stake. So the more asset you have staked with a proof of stake, the probability of minting is higher. The probability of minting on proof of work is higher as you put more equipment to work. So miners that are mining Bitcoin try to increase their profitability by purchasing more equipment. 51% attack is when you have more than half of transaction processing power on the blockchain. So if somebody has enough machines to process more than 50% of Bitcoin transactions, then they can rewrite the ledger with whatever transactions they want, and they can break the system and mint Bitcoin for themselves. So with proof of stake, that becomes increasingly expensive because the attacker would have to own more than half of ADA, which will not be possible. It's very much decentralized. But with Bitcoin, although it would be extremely expensive, it could be possible. It has happened with some proof of work protocols in the past, such as, for example, Ethereum Classic ran into this problem several times. Proof of stake is decentralized. The transaction processing operations are mostly owned by small groups or individuals, so somebody like myself. For proof of work, mining becomes more centralized because those who mine transactions and make money on them, they tend to buy more equipment. So we see that with someone like Bitmain, who make their own equipment for Bitcoin mining, but they're also not only producing equipment but mining Bitcoin themselves. So we see that Bitcoin mining become more centralized. So smart contracts are coming to the mainnet for Cardano on September 12th. This is in 3 days. Lega stake pool is already upgraded to the version that supports smart contracts. So we're ready. So why does that matter, and why is it important? Cardano is a smart contracts platform that has never had smart contracts running on it. So it's going to be a huge benefit for Cardano to finally offer smart contracts. Smart contracts were first defined by a computer scientist, Nick Szabo, and he named them as computerized transaction protocols that execute terms of a contract. Smart contracts are legally binding and they're enforceable just like any other contract. However, they have not been educated or proven in court as enforceable in every jurisdiction. So there are some jurisdictions where the precedent has been made and some where it hasn't, but most courts have said that we would enforce it as a legal contract, or most courts where the issue has come up. So it's smart contract is a program that's stored on a blockchain that runs or executes when predetermined conditions are met. These agreements are executed on those conditions so that participants can be certain of an outcome. So you create a smart contract, you write it in whatever the language is for the smart contract platform, and when the conditions are met, the contract is executed and the result is written on the blockchain. The parties don't have to be involved in the execution of a contract. So as soon as the conditions are met, they're executed, and this saves on time and money, and helps with the programmability of the smart contracts applications. When the conditions are met and the execution is written on the blockchain, it's immutable. So the parties cannot go and rewrite the terms of the contract or the outcome of the contract based on what they think happened. Once the conditions are met, then they're executed and written. So these are the advantages of the smart contract. So what are the uses? Immutable records. Those could be anything that has happened that needs to be recorded, and it needs to remain. So financial contracts, supply chain management, mortgages, real estate transactions, any employment agreements or employment arrangements, tracing of luxury goods, such as the secondary market sale. For instance, there's a huge problem with the luxury goods and counterfeiting. More than half of the luxury goods that are being sold are not real, and they're being counterfeited. So there are pilot programs on Cardano, for example, for sneakers, for a certain manufacturer of sneakers to track expensive sneakers and their ownership. Personal identity and identity verification. There is a deal between IOHK, which is the company that writes software for Cardano and supports Cardano, and Ethiopia to create national ID cards for all residents of Ethiopia. So that's one of the use cases. Escrow services, birth certificates, Internet of Things, educational records. We know that there is an agreement of understanding signed between the country of Georgia and also IOHK input output and a plan to record Georgia's educational records on the Cardano blockchain. So it's one of the use cases that's actually being implemented. Then copyright protection, and one of those copyright protection uses is NFT. So non-fungible tokens, and those little pictures that you see being sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars. Those NFT are copyright protected, and there's an ownership right that's built into those NFTs. Healthcare services, government voting. Clearly, after the 2020 election, it's apparent that we need a better voting system and vote tracking system. So government voting is one of those use cases, and insurance claims. One thought that that I've had and I've discussed with some other enthusiasts is that we won't have mortgages on priced in US dollar forever, because the current mortgage rates are between 2 and 3% in the United States, but the inflation rate is at 6% and the real inflation rate is higher. So my thinking is that one aspect of it is that mortgages will be priced in ADA or maybe in Bitcoin or in some stable form where uh, the bank won't be the loser, because right now the bank is the loser. And the reason why banks can do that is because the government is buying mortgage-backed securities. So the U.S. government right now owns 2 out of 3 mortgage-backed securities, and they keep buying them. But that can't stay forever. And if you have a 30-year mortgage right now in the United States, then the risk of that mortgage is on the bank, because the federal government, if the federal government own the mortgage-backed security, because the inflation rate will be higher. It's already is higher than the rate of the mortgage. So at some point, this system is not going to run forever. Um, at some point, there will be another real estate disaster, and the federal government won't be able to print enough money to keep buying mortgages. So at some point in the future, it's going to have to come down to earth, and mortgages will have to be recorded and priced in some other form. So I'm thinking it's going to be on the blockchain. Um, so that's one. And then there are many countries where there are issues with land records and there are issues with mortgages, because um, if you modify a land record, or you can rewrite it, or you can bribe somebody to rewrite a land record, then somebody can come in and say that you don't own the property, someone else owns it. Or a bank could come in and say that the terms of the mortgage have changed and they had a right to change it, or maybe their computer system got wiped out, or they lost some file. So in the United States, we still have some protections against that. But I can tell you, um, I grew up in Russia and the Soviet Union before that. And one time I remember we went to dacha, which is like is like a country house outside the city. This was outside of Moscow, and we had a house there about maybe 30 or 40 kilometers from the center of Moscow. We went there. This was in the maybe like 89, maybe 1990. Um, and there was a neighbor, our neighbor was there on the weekend with some construction people. They were putting up a fence through our yard. And when my parents asked him, "What are you doing?" he said that at some point before, the previous owner of our land parcel, of our property, sold piece of the property to him, the neighbor, and he was just reclaiming his property rights. And when my parents started to dig into it, there was some mishap with the paperwork on the property record, um, where apparently the neighbor went to the townspeople who ran the town records and bribed them to rewrite the land record of the past transaction. So there are private blockchains, and there are also um, blockchains that belong to private parties, but Cardano is an open blockchain. So that's one of the requirements of decentralization, is that nobody owns the intellectual property to the blockchain, and that everybody can see the transactions that are being recorded. You can't hide them, and you can't build private software to run on top of the blockchain that does what you want it to do. So Cardano is an open platform, and so is Bitcoin, so is Ethereum. So there is not one party that can go and rewrite the code for it, and that's one of the benefits is it's verifiable by third parties. So there are blockchains that are private, and there are blockchains that are enterprise focused, but I personally don't see the benefit of running mortgages on those. It's possible that some companies will do that, but it's going to lose the benefit of being immutable, verifiable, and open. So for land records or mortgages to run on something like Cardano or another blockchain, I think it has to remain decentralized. It has to remain verifiable. Has to remain an open software where we can all go and see what's actually written in that code. The end of the story with the neighbor that tried to grab our land is it was found that somebody was bribed and they brought the police there and on the full pretenses, and they had to remove their fence. But if we didn't get there on time, or my parents didn't come there while they were trying to build the fence, and we came there later, the outcome could have been different. The old records could have been burned, and there could be nobody to prove that. So blockchain solves or Cardano solves this problem with the land record and mortgage smart contracts. Or we think that it will. We anticipate that it will. So next one is on the rewards. And this question gets asked a lot. Where do the rewards come from, and how are they distributed between the stake pools? And I think Mike asked this question previously. So the rewards that are paid out at every epoch come from two sources: transaction fees and reserves, which is the monetary expansion of ADA. So ADA has a built-in inflation mechanism, and ADA is moved from reserves into circulating supply every 5 days, and that becomes part of the payout for the rewards. The transaction fees and the block rewards are distributed among the pools where blocks were minted. So for our stake pool, if we were selected slot leader and we recorded the blocks, then we get rewarded based on the amount of ADA we have staked and the number of blocks that we have minted. The chances of minting blocks are determined by the slottery. So the slottery gives out random slot leader positions, and the participation in this lottery is based on the amount of ADA that's staked in the pool. This was a contribution to your question, Mike. So hopefully this helps. And the rewards, 75% go to stake pool and delegators, and 25% go to the treasury. So there is a treasury and a governance mechanism built into Cardano where a quarter of the rewards goes into a fund. And there's a fund called the Catalyst, where you can submit a proposal for a project to be funded by the treasury. And every quarter, there is a series of projects that get funded from that treasury. And the projects are either to build an application, build an addition to the blockchain, build some accounting application or program for Cardano, or something else. So you can Google Cardano fund and Catalyst, and how it's decided which project will be funded. There's a voting application. There's one for Android and one for Apple, and voting is now also built into the Daedalus wallet, where you vote based on the amount of ADA that you have for a specific project or application to get funded. Next, so where are we with the adoption curve, and why does it matter? We're somewhere between 250 and 300 million users on all blockchains, and that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and the rest. So we're at about 20%. And if we compare that to the internet adoption, we were at 20% internet adoption somewhere around 1997. So right now we're at we would be at 1 billion crypto users in 3 years from now, in 2024, and 3.7 or half of the population by 2030. So as more users are being brought onto the blockchain and more are using some blockchain or some cryptocurrency, number of users is appreciating. So the value that's locked in the blockchain is also growing exponentially, like the internet did in the 90s and the early 2000s. So for Bitcoin, we see these waves of price appreciation, and this is attributed to the halving. So in Cardano, we have epochs that happen every five days. In Bitcoin, miners get a subsidy in Bitcoin, and that subsidy is cut in half every 4 years. So the first one happened in 2012, and then 2016, and then 2020. The next halving will be in 2024. So we see this waves of price appreciation because approximately 6 months after the halving event, the Bitcoin subsidy is cut in half. And in 6 months, after that halving event, there's a supply shock where there's less Bitcoin being produced, and that pushes the price higher. And that has happened in 2012, 2016, and 2020. But for Cardano, that happens every 5 days. So there's more gradual reduction of supply, and there is no such a shock. And this is a model called stock to flow, produced by someone who calls himself Plan B. Some of you may follow him on Twitter. So he projects Bitcoin to hit $1 million sometime in 2026, and 100,000 USD sometime in he's projecting end of this year, beginning of next year, to hit $100,000 per Bitcoin. So this price appreciation happens in waves, and stock to flow is how many years it takes at the current mining rate to reproduce the Bitcoin. So to reproduce the Bitcoins that are in a circulation at the current supply, it would take 57 years. So that's called stock to flow, and he's the one that created this model. And we've had this price appreciation that comes in waves, but then you also have the price falling. Like some of you may remember in January of 2018, Bitcoin hit 20,000, and then it went as low as 3,000 here in the blue in 2019. And now we've gone up to 60,000 and hovering around somewhere right now around 50,000. And that's partially due to the halving effect, where the Bitcoin subsidy was cut in half in the May of 2020. So as Bitcoin dominance falls, and as Bitcoin becomes a lesser portion of the market, so this is a Bitcoin dominance. Right now we're in September of 21. Here somewhere around 40%. Bitcoin dominance in 2017 was up here at 80%, and it has fallen in the beginning of 2018 in January when Ethereum and XRP hit their all-time high, and then dominance, Bitcoin dominance went up to 70%, and then it gradually fell by today's date. So we're probably going to hit somewhere in the 30% in the coming months, and then in the coming years, and next year and the year after, maybe 20-25%. So this makes me think that we won't see the 80% drawdowns and retracements of the price in the cryptocurrency market overall, because Bitcoin is a lesser market cap and portion of the market in these days. What metric is used to determine dominance? Okay, good question. So this is the market cap of Bitcoin in comparison to other cryptocurrencies. So if you go here to a coin market cap, all the way on top here, that will tell you Bitcoin dominance right now is 41.2%, and Ethereum is 19.1%. And if you click on any one, like if you click on Cardano, which is in third place right now, somewhere here will tell you the market rank, it's number 3, and market dominance is 3.8%, and that's not a lot for being number 3. But then again, Bitcoin is at 41% and ETH is at 19%. So Bitcoin plus Ethereum right now, that's 60% of the market. And if you click here, you can see, you can pick any cryptocurrency going down here and see what the market rank and what the market cap percentage is. Like Algorand came up here screaming, and if you click on it, it will tell you market dominance is, it's less than 1% for Algorand, number 16. I think we need the more stability in the space will be better, because people get frustrated and scared of volatility, and the bigger drawdowns scare people. And if you're going to invest in something for the future, for like your pension fund or kids college fund, then you want a lower volatility. So in regards to ADA, rewards and payouts, and how does that compare to Bitcoin? So Bitcoin halving was created to combat what's called Moore's law. So every 2 years, the processing power of computers doubles. So there had to be something built into the protocol to counter that. So that's how the halving was invented. But the halving, like I was just saying, has a negative effect, because it produces a scarcity shock 6 months after it's halving, and then you just go on waiting for next halving. Cardano has countered that halving effect with the epoch turnover. So the epoch turnover happens every 5 days, and how the rewards are paid out every 5 days, the reserves are multiplied by 0.003%, and that currently that's about 30 million ADA, and that comes from the reserves and goes into the circulating supply and gets distributed. So there is a gradual reduction of reserves and a gradual reduction of rewards paid out. So you can see in 2021, the rewards paid out are going to be 3.3 billion. And then next year in 2022, 2.1. And then next year, 1.7. So there's a smaller amount of rewards that are being paid out every year. So you can see that gradually the rewards by year
this amount is going down all the way to close to nothing. So on the opposite of that, you have more people who are joining the staking protocol, and they're willing to pay higher prices for ADA. And that's why you see such a drastic rise in USD values for ADA. So these are the reserves. This is what we have in reserves in March of 21. We had 12 billion, and then next year in May, the reserves will go down to approximately 11 billion, 8.8 next year, 7 next year. So this reduction happens every 5 days. So there is not a sudden reduction in reserves. So we're trying to counter the halving that happens with Bitcoin. Why is it important to stake your ADA right now? There are approximately 1.5 million Cardano wallets in existence right now. There are some people that have multiple, but we think there's more than 1 million users and 1.5 million wallets. But only 800,000 wallets are staking. So there are approximately 700,000 wallets that hold ADA in them, but they're not staking. Why they're staking or why they're not staking, I'm not sure. I know some people that own ADA and they don't stake. And if I try to talk them into staking, they just don't get it. Well, the more ADA you have, the more rewards that you're entitled to. That's how proof of stake works. More ADA in your wallet entitles you to more rewards when a block is minted by the stake pool that you are delegating to. And the ADA that you receive in rewards in the future epochs will entitle you to receive more rewards in the coming epochs. When you stake your ADA is not locked in for any period of time. And I have a slide on that that's coming. But most people that own ADA but don't stake, they're either lazy or they don't want to do the research or they don't know how to stake. And that's one of the reasons is why we're having these calls and trying to get more people to understand. Staking is, maybe they bought ADA, but they haven't done the research and they don't understand that there isn't a lock, or they don't know what the process is to stake ADA, because you do have to install the wallet and transfer ADA to your wallet. So there is some effort required on the part of the delegator. But I don't believe that the reason is that they're afraid of something. Maybe just a lack of understanding. But no, when you're staking ADA, it's not locked in for any period of time. If you own ADA but you don't stake it, most likely you hold it on exchange. And I know some people that hold their ADA on Coinbase, and I'm sure Coinbase is staking it and receiving their rewards. And also, other people are receiving those rewards, because if you own ADA but you don't stake it, the rewards that are coming out of reserves and transaction fees are distributed among the delegators who are staking. So if you have ADA and you hold it but you don't stake it, you're giving up your right to receive those rewards to somebody else. The reward payouts are shrinking every 5 days. So in the current epoch, you would be getting more in rewards than in the following epochs. So the staking rewards that you could have received today are much higher than the ones that you will receive down the road. I hope I answered your question. If not, please let me know. But I do have a slide on this that's coming. So because there is no limit to printing of fiat currencies, I think that the best way to value ADA is by comparing it to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are number one and number two coins. With the fiat currencies, 40% of all dollars in existence were printed last year in 2020. So from the beginning of United States dollar in 76 or around that time when the dollar was created, up to last year, 40% of all dollars in this time span that had been created were created last year. So you get paid in US dollars, right away you give 40% to the US government as taxes, as income tax. And then at the end of the year, you find out that they have further devalued your fiat pay by another 30 or 40% from printing of additional US dollars. So pricing ADA in US dollars makes no sense to me, although it has appreciated significantly if you look at the US dollar rate. But I think valuing it in Bitcoin and Ethereum is better. So if you look at the ADA BTC pair, you can see we were here at 0.0001, and we've come up even so appreciated almost double based on ADA to BTC. So if you ever want to see how your investment in ADA is doing, don't compare it to the US dollar, compare it to Bitcoin or Ethereum. As far as the process to buy ADA and stake it, so you have to first open an account on an exchange where you can purchase some. So Binance, Bittrex, Coinbase, those exchanges, they sell ADA, and you have to go through KYC, know your customer, to sign up. You purchase ADA, you download and install the Daedalus wallet, which is the full version of the wallet for PC, Mac, or Linux. There is also a Euroi wallet that's available for Android or iPhone. It's a mobile wallet that you can use. On our website, stakemyada.net, you can find detailed instructions, step by step, how to do it. And then you withdraw ADA or you send ADA from Coinbase or Binance to the wallet that you have installed. There's a delegation center button. You go to the delegation center and you delegate your ADA to a stake pool. Any questions on this process of how to get started and how to delegate? We have the step-by-step directions on our website. If you get in trouble or get lost, please reach out. So to answer the previous question on the locking period, if any, and often I hear a question of how long do I have to wait to start receiving rewards? So in epoch N is when you install your wallet and you transfer your ADA from an exchange to your wallet. Epoch N is when a snapshot is taken. So at every epoch, there's a snapshot being taken of your wallet, and that's when that snapshot is taken. That's your active stake. So N+1 is when that snapshot is taken. In the next epoch, N+2, after 5 days, the stake pool processes transaction and participates in this lottery. Blocks are produced. In the next epoch, N+3, the rewards are calculated, and in the next epoch, N+4, the rewards show in the wallet as they're being paid out. So it takes up to 4 epochs to start receiving the rewards, and that's approximately 20 days. Are your funds locked in? No, you can take your ADA out of your wallet anytime and send it back to the exchange and sell it or send it to someone else. But whenever this snapshot is taken in N+1 is what your reward payouts will be based on. So your reward payouts will be based on how much ADA was in your wallet when the snapshot was taken. So for the snapshot taken in N+1, in N+4, you'll get payouts that are based on the number of ADA in the wallet and number of blocks produced by the pool. Any questions on the delegation cycle or what's in this diagram? Does the wallet support Windows OS, and are there recovery options to protect against hard drive failures? I like that you're asking this question. So the wallet is, the Daedalus wallet is for Windows, Linux, and Mac. So if you go here to daedaluswallet.io, you click on the download. See, there's a Mac, Linux, and Windows. And you download the one that best suits your operating system. And is there a recovery option to protect against hard drive failure? Yes. So what happens is when you download and install the wallet, you have to set up a phrase, a key phrase, and it's 16 to 24 words that you have to write down. The wallet installation wizard tells you to write down those key phrases on a piece of paper. So what I suggest is you write it down and put that piece of paper into a safe or a safe deposit box. Keep it somewhere secure so that if your computer fails, you can take that key phrase, install a new wallet on a new computer or a mobile device, if it's a mobile wallet, and use the recovery key to recover your wallet by downloading it from the blockchain. So if you lose both your laptop and the recovery phrase, then you lose your funds effectively. If you lose just your laptop, but you have your key phrase, you can restore. There is also what's called a spending password, which is used for sending ADA off your wallet. So if you want to send ADA back to an exchange, then you would use your spending password, which is different from the recovery key. I am talking about Yoroi and Daedalus, yes. Yoroi is the mobile wallet, Daedalus is the full version of the wallet. Yes, it's very important to keep your recovery phrase safe, and do not share your recovery phrase with anyone. Don't send it to anyone. Don't enter it in any application unless you're recovering your own wallet. There's also this tool called pooltool.io, so you can use either one. If you go to delegators here, I don't know who any of these people are, but you can click on any amount, pick any, and you can see, so this person has 30,000 ADA. I don't know who this is, but you can see that in the current epoch, we don't know how much he made. In the one before, we don't know how much she or he made. And 288, they made 12 ADA. In a 287, they made 22 ADA. So if we go back, let's open this in another tab, but we look at blocks. So this is the current epoch, 289. We made 3 blocks. we go to 288. So 287, there were 5 blocks, and we look at the rewards for that person in 287. You see, they made 22 ADA. That was based on 5 blocks, and this next one, 12 in Epoch 288, was based on 3 blocks. But you can also see how much active stake they had in each epoch. And if you go back here, and if you find yourself here in delegators, I don't know where you are, but if you keep scrolling here, next until you find yourself, then you can pull up the same for you, and you can look at the epoch, what you had in active stake, and how much were your stake rewards. So this should help you figure out what you're making. So the rewards that you make in the current epoch or the previous epoch will be much higher on both the USD pair and in comparison to rewards that you receive next year or the year after. Next year and the year after, the rewards are going to be less. You're going to be getting less ADA because that number in the reserves that gets multiplied by 0.003 in each epoch, it's shrinking, but at the same time, the number of users in the blockchain are increasing. That's why you see an exponential growth in the value of ADA in comparison to US dollar or Bitcoin or Ethereum. You have more people that are coming into this blockchain and this staking protocol, while the reserves are shrinking and the payouts are shrinking. So I hope a light bulb goes off for somebody. It should. So I got some questions by email and messages as I was getting ready for this delegators call. Do I have to send someone my ADA in order to stake and receive rewards? So no, you don't send it to anyone. You only send it to your own wallet that you control. So the delegation mechanism allows you to retain full control of your funds. So if you keep your ADA on an exchange or in some third-party financial application that promises you a payout and percentage, with them you don't control your ADA. And same, I hear that it's the same for staking Ethereum. To stake Ethereum, right now there's about 10% of Ethereum from supply being staked. I'm hearing that to stake Ethereum, you have to send it to somebody. With ADA, that's not the case. You put ADA in your own wallet that you control, and you only delegate the right to participate in the staking to produce blocks. And you delegate that right to the stake pool operator, somebody like myself. So when you delegate your stake to the stake pool, you only allow them to produce blocks on your behalf, but you never give up control of your funds. Your ADA stays in your wallet when it's delegated, and you can move it out anytime you want. If I stake my ADA, next question, if I stake my ADA, are my coins ever locked for any period of time? No. When you delegate, your funds are never locked, and you retain the full spending power of your funds, as well as transferring them somewhere out of your wallet or to an exchange or wherever you want to send them. If I buy more ADA and send it to my wallet, do I have to redelegate to add the new amount to the stake? No. Any amount of ADA that you have in your wallet that's staked will become automatically delegated, and it will be accounted for in the next snapshot, in the next epoch when the snapshot is taken. So you don't have to redelegate your ADA. So it will be automatically counted and automatically accounted for in the rewards. Any questions from these questions here? Okay. Stats. for we go over this stats every 2 weeks. You can see the stake value here in both ADA and USD is growing. So the number of ADA that stake is growing, which means that when people receive rewards, they just keep them in their wallets. And ADA stake based on USD is also growing. Well, you've seen what happened with the price recently. We were in June, beginning of July, at $1, and we've come up, broken all-time high, and came up to $3 last week. So that's why you have this candle going up here. Minted versus circulating supply. So we're at about 37.5% right now, ADA minted out of the all-time supply that will ever exist. So we're 3/4 of the way there. And we're just in the first year of staking. So staking became active in September of last year. So it's a 1-year anniversary of being able to stake your ADA. And this next one here is the annual inflation. So we're at 2.7% of annual inflation. So if you're thinking which stake pool to delegate your ADA to, pick the one where the rewards are higher than the annual inflation. So inflation is how much ADA is being added to circulating supply per year based on the outstanding supply and circulation. So if you take all ADA that's in circulation right now, 2% of that will be added this year. And if you look at our pool, so you can see here, return of ADA, ROA. So over the entire existence of the pool, it's 3.4% annualized. And actually, sorry, lifetime is 3.2%. And ROA M, this is the past 30 days, 3.4%. So our returns are beating this number here. They're beating the inflation rate. So there is some transaction cost that's being added to the inflation, but it's marginal comparing to the rewards from the reserves that are being added to circulation. So we're beating the inflation rate right now with our stake pool rewards. Any questions on these? So what's the driver behind the value of ADA? So this is the total wallets, 1.5 million wallets in the center here, in the middle graphic, and the delegated wallets around 800,000. So slightly more than half of the wallets are delegating their stake. And the graphic all the way to the right, in January, average number of ADA, amount of ADA in wallet was close to 200,000. And right now, average number of ADA in the wallet is below 30,000. So that's a 7-fold reduction. So what does this mean? It means that new participants in the market are coming into the market and they're purchasing ADA and staking it. And it takes higher prices for the new participants to buy ADA off of the older participants in the market in order for the older participants in the market to sell it to them. Because the market is always in the heads of the market participant. It's in my head, it's in your head. Everyone has a number at which they're ready to sell. Except me, of course, because I'm a diehard Cardano fan. But everyone else has a certain price in their head that they're willing to sell at. So these wallets with a higher number of ADA have sold, and that ADA has gone to new market participants who are willing to buy at that higher price. And this will continue. And rewards, the rewards in USD have grown, and the stake value in USD has grown exponentially, but the stake value in ADA has been consistent and slowly rising up. So I believe that this will continue, and more ADA will be staked. And as far as the value in USD, I think the market overall, and it's not financial advice, but I think the market overall will go higher. So this is price of ADA, where we've come from at different levels. So right now, there was an all-time high that we made in August, and then we came down here close to $2 a couple of times, and we've actually breached the $3 mark. And recently, when we had the fiasco with the El Salvador wallets and all that, we breached our support here at 2.5 and came down to $2. But you can see that even with the candles going down here in the first part of September, which was last week, we never even came close to $2, or not significantly. So I don't think we're gonna breach this $2 support, and I think we are going to go higher. But it's not financial attacks or any other type of advice. This is just my opinion, is that we're going to continue to go higher. And historically, if you look at it here, so this is when staking was introduced in September of last year. We were below 15 cents, and with a multi-asset ledger in January, February, we breached the $1 price tag, and I was anticipating that we'll be somewhere here in the $3 range on the smart contracts introduction. So that's where we are right now. So are there higher numbers here in USD terms? I think so, and my belief is based on just on how much in fiat currency is out there. I mean, we're looking right now at a $3 trillion infrastructure bill and a $3.5 trillion budget next year, and those US dollars will get printed and just injected into the economy. So those who hold US dollars will be looking for a better place to invest in some currencies that have hard caps and circulating supplies, and Cardano happens to be one of those, and it's the best project on the planet in my opinion. So in the USD terms, I think price will go up, and if anything, in the long term, I don't know when you are planning to retire, but if you're looking at 5, 10, 15 years down the road, I think Cardano will be a superior smart contract platform and superior cryptocurrency. Technologically, in my opinion, it's already ahead of everything else. And if you plan on living on fiat currency in the future, your investment in ADA will surpass other investments, in my opinion, and staking and payouts of rewards, even though the ADA rewards in ADA will be reduced based on the Apple turnover, in fiat currency terms, the price will appreciate, and it's something that you can possibly help augment your income as a passive income in the additional stream. So something that I personally look forward to, let's say. Any questions? We're coming up at the end here. I promised 90 minutes. We're about 10 minutes off. I want to ask you to follow the pool page on LinkedIn. We have a YouTube channel where we'll be putting up and collecting more videos. We have a page on adapools.org, and we have a page on pooltool.io, and you can search by putting in LEGA, LEGA, in any one of those platforms. So if you go here on ADA pools, type in LEGA, and we have a page on pooltool.io. Also, there's a search. If you go to the home on pooltool and you put LEGA here in the search, and you can find us if you click here. So you can find our stats, what we've made for blocks in the current epoch or in the previous epochs. You can look here, and you can look at delegators and our rewards that we've made. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll put the follow us links, and we also have this useful links. I'll put this in the event page. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, send me a message on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or you can email me at admin@stakemyada.net. My email, and I'll be happy to answer any additional questions. And thanks to everyone who came here today. We had many people and quite a few new people, and it's really good to see new participants. Please come back and bring your friends. We're always happy to have new delegators, new audience, and we have about 1.5 million wallets on the platform and close to that number of users, and we'd like to have over 1 billion users on the Cardano platform as users in the coming years. So hopefully I'm helping breach that 1 billion number in a small way, one Thursday at a time. So thank you everybody for coming, and please feel free to contact me with any questions, and I'm looking forward to future meetings as well.